The chair across from the therapist was soft, with impressions of past patience. It was the type of chair meant to make people sink, to make them stay. But Anna didn't. She wasn't having any more of this. She sat rigid, hands knotted in her lap. Her head was pounding. The room smelled like eucalyptus and something vaguely sweet. Lavender, maybe. A bookshelf lined one wall, spines carefully color-coordinated. Framed credentials gleamed under warm lighting. The therapist clicked her pen. "Well," she said gently, "it's been almost a year." Anna's fingers twitched. "That kind of grief," the woman continued, nodding as if she were offering wisdom instead of judgment, "can really stunt a person if they let it linger. You're clearly intelligent. You have potential. So much of it, if you could just try to..." The therapist stopped. Anna swallowed. "But you can't grow if you stay stuck," the therapist added. "At some point, you have to choose to move on. Move on." If only it was that simple. Something in Anna cracked. Her laugh burst out, loud and bitter. "You don't get to say that to me," the therapist blinked. "Anna." "No." Anna surged to her feet, the chair scraping violently against the floor. "You don't get to sit there in your soft little office and tell me my grief is a choice." Her chest burned. Her vision blurred. "You think I want to be like this?" she demanded. "You think I wake up every day and choose to feel like my ribs are collapsing in on my heart?" The therapist stood now too, palms raised. "You're escalating." "My dad is dead," Anna shouted. "Dead. And you're telling me I'd be better if I just..." "What? Decided not to love him so much?" The door opened. 2 security guards stepped in. Anna didn't stop. "You people pathologize love," she said, voice shaking, breaking. "You call it dysfunction when it hurts too much for you to look at." One of the guards gently touched her arm. "Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to leave." Anna yanked her arm free. "Gladly, I wouldn't want to stay here. Anyway." The therapist held out a folded paper, voice tight. "Here, a grief support meeting. For parent loss. Today. Just try to help yourself." The therapist tried to sound hopeful. Anna snatched it, not even looking. She was escorted down the hallway, past closed doors, until the glass doors opened and sunlight spilled in, harsh and unforgiving. The guard held the door open. Anna walked out with her head down, saying nothing. She stood there for a moment, shaking. Then she unfolded the paper. "Grief support group. Loss of a parent today. 4 p.m. She checked her phone. 3:41 p.m. A humorless breath escaped her. "Of course," she muttered. She climbed into her car, slammed the door, and the second she was alone, she broke. Her hands fell to the steering wheel as her chest hitched violently. A sob tore out of her, raw and uncontained. Tears blurred the windshield until the world became nothing but color and ache. "I can't do this," she whispered. She tried to compose herself. The car pulled away. She didn't realize where she was until she parked. A church, stone steps, tall doors. A white cross etched against the sky. Anna let out a sharp, incredulous laugh. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." Her chest tightened instantly. God had never answered her. Not once. Not when she begged as a child. Not when she pleaded as a teenager. Not when she screamed as an adult with her knees on the floor, bargaining everything she had left. All he did was take, and kick her when she was already down. Her hands trembled as she killed the engine. "Well, let's just do this, I guess." She pushed the car door open, then froze and closed it again. The weight hit her, sudden, brutal. Her father wasn't here to walk her in, wasn't in the passenger seat, wasn't anywhere. Before she could stop herself, Anna tipped her head back and screamed. Not a word, just sound. It ripped out of her chest and echoed inside the car, inside her bones, ugly but necessary. The pressure eased. Then it rushed back in like waves crashing the shoreline. He was still gone. He'd always just be gone. Her breathing went shallow. Her hands shook as she wiped her face, mascara smearing under her eyes. "This is stupid," she whispered. The church loomed quietly in front of her. Anna sat there, alone. No one who knew where she was. Nobody who would care. Just a girl who had lost her father. Just a person who didn't know how much more she could take. The doors were heavier than she expected. Anna hesitated, fingers brushing the cool metal handle. A bouquet sat beside the entrance, wilting lilies and carnations in a chipped ceramic vase. Someone had forgotten to care. She noticed it distantly, like everything else. Time no longer behaved the way it used to. She slipped inside. The room was already full. Folding chairs had been arranged in a loose circle, every seat occupied except one near the back. People sat with hands clasped, eyes lowered, grief folded neatly into their laps. Some stared straight ahead, some cried quietly, some looked hollow. Late again, Anna thought to herself. Once, Anna had been punctual to a fault, early even. She used to feel time like a pressure behind her eyes. Appointments, schedules, the ticking insistence of next. Now, time didn't feel real, and neither did she. Her body moved forward, but it felt delayed, like she was half a step behind herself, watching from somewhere above and slightly to the left. The edges of the room shimmered faintly, soft and unreal. Derealization. She knew the word. She hated the word. Her shoes sounded too loud against the stone floor. Nobody even glanced up. Anna kept her eyes down, spotting an old grandfather clock against the far wall. Its pendulum swung slowly behind glass. Left, right, left, right. The sound was barely audible. Tick, tick. Time was still moving, even if hers had stopped. She slipped into the empty chair. The wood was hard and cold. Her knee bounced constantly without her permission. Above them, stained glass windows rose toward the ceiling. Towering panels of saints, suns, and halos fractured into impossible color. Light poured through them in heavy bands, splashing the floor in blues and golds and violent reds. So bright. It was beautiful, but completely out of place. Or was she just out of place? This wasn't a place for color, and it definitely wasn't a place for her. Everyone else here had been given time to prepare their grief. She'd been shoved into hers like a locked room with no windows. Her fingers brushed the grief meeting pamphlet still crumpled in her pocket. The paper was soft now, worn thin from her grip. She imagined the ink fading, like everything else eventually did. The clock ticked again. She hadn't slept in days, or weeks. She wasn't sure anymore. Insomnia blurred into waking life until the two were indistinguishable. Night bled into morning. Morning bled into nothing. Her reflection felt unfamiliar and far away. She stared at her hands. They looked like someone else's. "I'm here," she told herself silently. "I think." A facilitator cleared their throat gently. Anna flinched. Her gaze lifted once more to the stained glass. Sunbursts crowning the saints' heads, light splitting and refracting, beautiful. But the colors pressed in on her, too vivid and alive for a room full of people grieving. She folded her arms around herself, not for comfort, but containment. Anna Litch sat in a church, surrounded by strangers, fractured by light, trapped between ticking seconds. No one reached for anyone else. Anna noticed it slowly, like realizing a room had gone cold long after the chill set in. They stayed seated, hands folded, eyes forward. No comforting touches, no shared glances. Only when the facilitator asked softly, "Would anyone like to talk today?" did people begin to speak, one by one. A man explained his mother passed peacefully in her sleep, 87. A woman spoke about her father, long illness, long goodbye. Another mentioned hospice. Another said it was expected, older, all of them. Anna's throat tightened. Her dad hadn't been old. There had been no preparing, no gentle easing into absence. She looked around the circle. She was the youngest person there. Even though she'd arrived late, not a single person lifted their head when she entered. Not one curious glance, not a nod, not a question. She realized with a strange hollow clarity that she could scream at the top of her lungs right now. And no one would look at her. The thought made her chest ache. Is this grief? Does it make you careless? Self-involved? Everyone here was trapped inside their own loss, sealed off, orbiting themselves. No malice, no cruelty, just inward. Anna knew, suddenly and fiercely, that she never wanted to become that. Her chair scraped loudly as she stood, too loud. A few heads shifted, but no one stopped her. She walked out. The air outside felt sharper, cleaner. She inhaled deeply, like she'd been underwater. I should go home, she thought. Self-medicate. Journal. Do something that actually works. But her feet carried her around the side of the church instead. Behind it, a cemetery. Small, old. The kind that didn't advertise itself. The grass was uneven, sun-bleached in places, damp and dark in others. Wildflowers had forced their way up between headstones. Yellow daisies, clovers, stubborn little things growing where no one had asked them to. Anna walked until the noise of the world disappeared. Then she lay down, flat on her back, right in the middle of the ground. The earth was cool beneath her shoulders. Solid, unmoving. She closed her eyes and imagined herself sinking, 6 feet down, into quiet, into stillness, into a place where nothing was demanded of her. She rolled onto her side. Her gaze landed on a nearby tombstone. No name, just a date. 1925, her brow furrowed. Over 100 years had passed, and yet this place hadn't moved at all. The city beyond the church buzzed with forward motion. Cars, deadlines, lives pushing relentlessly ahead. But here, time felt folded in on itself. Backward. Suspended. She liked that. She sat up slowly and began to wander. She read every stone. Names worn smooth by rain, dates carved deep and sharp, some with flowers long dead at their base, some with none at all. She brushed leaves away, straightened toppled vases, picked weeds from cracked marble. She talked to them, not out loud, mostly. She knew she must have looked strange. A young woman alone in a cemetery, fingers tracing names that weren't hers. But she felt safe. No one here expected her to be okay. No one told her to move on. No one measured her progress. It was acceptable to be stuck here. Time didn't judge her. The sun lowered slowly, casting long shadows between the stones, light turning gold and soft instead of blinding. Anna stayed, and for the first time all day, the pressure eased. She climbed back into her car as the light thinned. Out of the 2 therapy sessions she'd endured today, both had only managed to make her feel worse. The therapist's office had dissected her. The grief group had erased her. The only comfort she'd felt all afternoon came from the dead, the ones who didn't ask her to explain herself, the ones who let her speak without expecting improvement. She drove home in silence. No music, no radio, just the low hum of the engine and the steady ticking of the dashboard clock glowing in indifferent blue. Time still moved. She pulled into the driveway just as dusk settled in. The house stood dark and quiet. The florist shop attached to it, lit faintly by the street lamp, looked like a shadow of something that had once been alive. It mocked her. Her shoulders crept upward with tension as she crossed the pavement. Every step felt heavier the closer she got to the shop door, like gravity thickened there. She unlocked it. The bell didn't ring anymore. Inside, the air smelled faintly of soil and old water. Buckets sat empty along the wall. A few stubborn plants clung to life near the window, leaves yellowed from neglect, stems reaching toward the fading light like they were still trying. Anna barely glanced around before her eyes caught on the mail slot. Bills, a thick stack of them, creased envelopes, red stamps, overlapping deadlines. She let out a slow, exhausted breath. Not tonight, she murmured. The door closed again, the lock clicked. This shop had been her life. The reason she hadn't gone to college, the reason she'd stayed. Her father had passed it down to her as a graduation present, after all the design classes, after the horticulture certification he'd been so proud of. He'd stood right where she was standing now, hands on his hips, smiling like he knew she'd make something beautiful out of it. She had loved it. She still did. But love took effort, and effort required something she no longer had. The shop was failing, and she didn't care anymore. With her care went the success of the dream, slowly, quietly, until all that remained was a shell of what she could have been. A shell. The therapist's words echoed back at her, unwanted but accurate. Stunted. That was why Anna was angry, because the therapist had been right. She was stunted, and knowing it didn't change a thing. Grief wasn't something she could just decide to stop carrying. It didn't loosen its grip because someone pointed it out. It didn't fade because it was inconvenient or expensive or embarrassing. It stayed, just like the bills. They piled up, one envelope at a time, until they became too heavy to ignore. The grief did the same, and Anna knew, with a quiet resignation that hurt worse than anger, that both were hers to bear.